A few weeks ago, I started designing the decoration for Lenric's Basalt farm on Wavetech. I got a pretty far ways in too, except I didn't quite finish it. See, what you see here is the overworld side of the farm. There's also a nether component as well. And I did think that I had a fairly good design for it. However, after designing it and taking a look at the farm as it was being constructed on the actual server, I realized that there's a piston bolt headed to the farm as well, and I didn't account for that in my design. So, naturally, I just threw out everything I had and started from scratch. Well, not quite from scratch. You'll see what I mean. Here, let's take a look. To start the build off, I took the overworld side of the farm, flipped it on its side, and had it facing downwards. The idea behind this is the overworld side of the farm is coming out of a portal, so in the nether side it's going into the portal, so it's, going across dimensions. I thought it was a pretty interesting solution, and I rather liked how it turned out. The next thing I did was create this large archway to house the end of the piston bolt. As you can see here, I have a cross section of the piston bolt as you would find on the actual Wavetech server. And I decided to make the exit a little more appealing, so I made the interior a little more decorated using some deep slate, cobbled deep slate, and deep slate stone bricks. A lot of deep slate in the basalt build, but, I thought it still looked pretty good. I tried to add very little ornamentation just to keep the build fairly simple, but I covered the ground with carpet just to make it feel like it's an actual interior and it's separated from the bedrock outside. It's not much of a distinction, but I thought it worked out. Speaking of outside, the next thing I worked on was the outside walls. I figured that I would make something that I really liked, and I would copy and paste it to the three sides that are not the entrance. So I thought this kind of ribbed look that dips in the middle would look fairly interesting, and I started to like how it turned out, but I thought that above it was a bit too bland. So in the theme of these large ovals that I have on the structure, I created these dark gray ovals underneath and added the little spikes on the side, as you can see there. And I thought that turned out fairly well. When I was finally satisfied with it, I copy and pasted it to all three sides, and it created a nice base. However, the base of the build is not exactly done. There were more things I tried. As you'll see here in a second, I tried to cover the outside with crimson nylium or warped nylium to try to give it a nether vibe, but I wasn't very satisfied with any of that, and instead I tried something very new. I tried to make it look like this building was being sucked into the portal as it was bursting out of the bedrock floor. This is the only time in my history of building that I've ever regretted not being able to build with bedrock, because I feel like that would give this build the pop that it really needs. However, after adding all that debris at the bottom, I thought that this build was fairly completed. Let's go take a little bit of a closer look at it in creative. And now, here we are in my creative world looking at the final product. Please ignore the grid up there. That's something that happens with sodium and glass. It's just something you have to deal with. But I think that this build is great in comparison to what we did with the overworld side. I think that this complements it fairly well. A few critiques of my own work: I think that it could use a little bit more color. If we turn off gamma override, it's very dark. I'm not even sure if YouTube's compression will be able to show the difference between all these shades of gray. I think that that might be a little bit lacking, so I think this build could definitely benefit from some extra colors. I didn't want to add any more purple, but maybe some green, like some floating lanterns like we did with the fish build. Not sure. I'd be really down to hear suggestions down below, but I think that this build is as good as it's gonna get from my own creativity. And I think that it's about time that we actually get on Wavetech and create this. But before we do, really quick, I lost my bearing entirely. I don't normally turn on shaders in the nether, right? Because often there's this fog that happens that is just very impenetrable and gross. But I think that with this build, it actually adds a little bit. Like, look at that. This giant monolith coming out of the fog. I think that that's just a beautiful view. I figured that out quite on accident. I logged in while my shaders were turned on, and I thought, oh, that's actually not a bad aesthetic. But anyways, all that aside, let's actually get to building this on Wavetech. Now, ladies and gents, the moment you've all been waiting for. Have you been waiting for it? Is this a moment that you've actually been waiting for? Well, I don't know. I haven't even loaded it in yet. I'm that confident in my computer. Oh, there it is. Oh, it looks so good. It looks way better just with the knowledge that this is in survival. But oh, it looks amazing, and the grid pattern is still there, but that's alright. I am thoroughly pleased with how this turned out. I'm sure you saw all those people helping me out in the time-lapse, so flowers where flowers are due. Absolute huge thank you to Ruth Rowe, Burnt Torch, Zomi101, I hope I said that right, Spay, and Lenric. Thank you all for helping out and making this in just record time. We made this in like less than 3 hours. That's how quick this went. Speaking of Spay, thank you for the amount of times I've died. You tripled my death count for sure. And ladies and gentlemen, oh, that's way too close here. Let's try that again. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not even the end of the Basalt farm. See, this is the nether side. We designed the overworld side as well. We have to build that soon too. But we won't be finishing that this episode. In fact, there's something else I kind of want to show you. We did a tour last Saturday, and Sipover came on Wavetech and checked it out. There was a lot of great clips from it, so I compiled all of my favorite moments that I recorded into one little bit. Enjoy!
Somebody's got an auto clicker. That don't work on this version.
I just did.
Oh my gosh, I still have my totem on, bro. Moment. Where's some lava?
Why am I still taking damage?
Lag.
Can't you see the endermite?
What? I ran out of ender pearls ages ago. What's damaging me?
There's
Dude,
an ender pearl.
endermite. There is an endermite.
Oh.
Please tell me that someone actually was recording Cubic at that point. cart feature being so good, we are just going to mod this feature in, just so like we can make cool stuff with it before updating.
Right.
So technically the furnace array, yeah, we are going to the wool farm.
So we have a wool portal.
The portal is
What
beautiful.
happens if I light the portal on fire?
Do we want to donate some or sacrifice something to Harold?
I vote we sacrifice
He
it. Over.
demands
Yes,
flesh.
Bingo.
He demands
Yes.
flesh.
Okay, I think we shall go before Harold like gets his
Yeah.
revenge back. So
Oh, yeah.
I might get angry.
Are we just like leaving cubic stuff there?
Yeah.
No way.
that's part of the sacrifice.
So what you're telling me is if I just wait, I'll
Hey,
win.
Roth, what are you
If
doing?
you're
I said
alone
you're
on the
gonna
floor,
win.
can you jump down, please?
But I beat everyone else. Okay.
Yeah,
alright.
but it's just so boring when you have to win.
Oops.
Not. Seems fine for now, though.
Generally, I reserve this part of my videos for Q&As, but today is a little different. As many of you know, you can leave a question or comment down below, and I'll reply while I make a perimeter decoration. But I decided that this segment will instead be used to explain my intentions for the next few months. I've just finished my exams and I am now officially on summer break. This is excellent news because it means I can put real effort into making videos again, and you can reliably look forward to new Wavetech episodes every Monday. I was also thinking of starting a 1.19 single player survival or hardcore series. And I suppose my question to you would be, does that interest you? Or is there any other sort of series you would like to see? As always, I read each and every comment, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. I've been putting it off for long enough. Free schematic time! Last week, I showed 3 of my builds and asked you all to vote on your favorite, and the winning build would be released as a free schematic. The amount of replies was truly astonishing. I really appreciate the feedback you all gave. And as time progressed, it became increasingly obvious that the winning build was dun-dun-dun-dun, build number 2! Until I figure out a better way, you can get your hands on this schematic by clicking the Discord link down below and joining the Wavetech server. You can find this schematic under Public Archives channel. It'll be titled Mr. Max Mondays _YouTube schematic _2. If you do end up using the schematic, I would love to see what you turn it into. As always, you can message me on Discord. I am in the Wavetech server, and my name is Mr. MR. Again, feel free to send me a DM. I would love to see what you guys make. And of course, once again, thank you so much for the 500 subscriber milestone. We're actually in the 520s now, which is an insane growth. And I just really appreciate it. I'm chuffed to bits, as some other YouTubers might say. It's that time again, everyone. See you later, alligator.